Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asked the questions on Blakey's Bootroom. Will always be blue.
Good afternoon, welcome to Blakey's Bootroom here on Wales Online. Once again, Nathan and Steve in the studio, ready to pour over a dramatic 0-0 draw against MK Dons on the weekend. It's wet and windy outside.
Still drying out.
Yeah, heavy weekend, heavy.
Indeed.
Heavy
Storm
weather.
brewing outside. Are we going to have any incidents in the boot room today? Stormy atmosphere brewing?
I had my glasses blown off earlier on Wood Street. I was walking along, it was like went flying, which wasn't nice. But I'm okay now. Everybody, don't want anybody to start a fundraising page for my new glasses. Or it could actually be quite good if they did that. But no.
Frustration on the weekend, really.
Oh, desperately so. I mean, we knew they'd fought to get the match on, and the giant sponging machine was brought in from. Yeah, he did good. Could you suggest maybe Cardiff got one? I don't know. I suppose if it's like, if your next door neighbour's got like a kind of power drill, you think, well, I won't buy one myself then. Yeah, I can always borrow his, But the game itself, I mean, it was poor conditions, but you were left with that, Wolves, great win. Rotherham again at home, you get that disappointment. Huddersfield, really good win again, and then back home again, you get this deeply, deeply frustrating. I mean, I was saying to Blakey as we were coming in here, actually, despite all season that being that familiar pattern of Cardiff flattering to deceive and then not following it up, you felt a real sympathy in a way for them against MK Dons, because you didn't, dreadful first half to be honest, but particularly second half, you don't know what else they could have done apart from score. That was all that was left almost to do. You had Tom Lawrence hitting the post, Stewie O'Keefe with a couple of really good chances. I mean,
Stewie, eh?
Stewie.
I like
Russell
he probably hates being called Stewie, but there you go.
I would have thought with that Family Guy.
Stewie from
Family.
Family.
Like him to it.
Yeah,
no. Because footballers jump on that.
Oh, do they? He'll be all right.
So
he'll be all right.
But
I think they even got the ball in the net, Amiobi, and then it was pulled back for a free kick or something. It's just one of those days. But saying that, again, it was a real war of attrition in many ways.
Conditions.
Not one for the purists, but another opportunity missed. And I don't know how many times we sit here and say another opportunity missed, and that's exactly what it was, because you had. I think it was Birmingham lost. I think I don't know what else is up. There's a couple of other results that, those extra 2 points would have really just like wow. Going to Charlton next weekend. Again, they missed out on it, and you look at the MK Dons game in isolation, and you say, oh yeah, they were unlucky. They hit the post. They did that. You draw it over the season as a whole. It's just not quite good enough, is it?
Their consistency is that they're inconsistent.
The most consistent thing about them is their inconsistency, my friend.
Why were they so poor? Because it was very sluggish the first half, but you would have thought coming off the back of a few good results, home against the team who were struggling, MK Dons, they've had a few spankings recently, but it was just really flat, wasn't it? There was no...
That just seems to be the nature of the beast at the moment. It doesn't seem to be... You don't hear them running out into a great atmosphere. The fans are a bit down. Well, a lot down.
The crowd was awful again.
The
atmosphere was mostly poor.
Some would be happy. But clearly, the majority aren't happy. So you're not, as a player, you're not running out into like
My phone's going on. My missus keeps on ringing
Do
me.
you know, I mean,
Does she not know what you do for a job or whatever? Or is she just sort of one of those kind of paranoid kind of? I wonder what he's up to.
I think that might have been for me. She put it on the wrong number.
Yes, there we go.
I couldn't possibly comment. I couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah, but it's you get to the point where the fans expect to be entertained, and the players need the fans
Yeah, it's
to
chicken and egg
give them
situation,
a bit of a lift. So at the moment, I mean, I've experienced it myself at Cardiff. You know what I mean? In the early days when there was like 2,500 there, 3,000, it was very much like that. You know, the majority of people would come really and truly just to vent their frustration, really, and it wasn't until things started to improve that the fans kind of like got behind you, because to go from like in my day 2,500 to like 20,000 in the course of literally 18 months, 2 years, it was unbelievable. But what it gives you, you look at some of the major games against, like, sounds crazy, isn't it? A major game against Shrewsbury Town and things like that. The atmosphere was frightening. It was, not frightening for us, but for the opposition, we know they'd hate coming down to that sort of atmosphere. So it's a catch-22, John. It's like I've said a couple of times, the last time you heard fans and a player having that great, relationship, like Stantana, or you know what I mean,
Ernie,
stuff like that, or Ernie,
of course,
or Carl Dale in my day, Jason Petty.
Cycling,
but they had names for everybody,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know what I mean. Nicky Richardson, I remember they sing. Windy Miller in my day. Everyone had sort of like
What
a
was
good
your
affiliation.
nickname? What was your nickname?
With the fans?
Blake.
Just
Blakey.
What was your nickname?
What was your nickname, Blakey?
So it's. I feel sorry for both parties, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah,
Because it's a difficult one, because the boys are going out there, and in those kind of conditions, listen, Saturday, you don't judge the football or nothing like that, because, well, you can if you wish, but the conditions are that poor. It does take a while to get things going, because it's difficult to play in them conditions. Wind is probably the worst over anything else, because, you knock a ball, it doesn't go here, it blows that way, and so it's a nightmare. But difficult for both parties, as in fans and players, but it's just where we are at the moment.
What about a positive then? The new face in the team, Tom Lawrence, getting played sort of up front in that number 10 role alongside Anthony Pilkington. He was neat, tidy, worked hard, looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to see the ball, wanted to get on the ball. I mean, in that number 10, he's very different from kind of like Joe Mason in that Joe used to be like a little fox in the box, running around, making little runs, trying to read situations.
Yeah, I think Joe's a goal scorer, 10.
Yeah. Lawrence is more of a build-up kind of.
He will produce the goal and get the goals.
Yeah.
Whereas Mason will get the goals and produce a few goals.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's more of an assistant.
I thought it was a good debut. As I say, I mean, he came closer probably than anyone. He had that. It was really nice. I think it was Whittingham put it in. I'm not sure, or maybe Malone. And then like a really nice head, and like an inch the other way, that's in off the post. Yeah. It was really one of those afternoons. Like you say, okay, forget the football in some way because of the conditions, but if it could have hit someone's backside and gone in, if it could have bounced off.
That wouldn't have been a problem.
Oh, the image now. I got that image in my head.
I used that poster.
You and your speedos. Frightening sight to wake up to. But you just that little bit of good fortune there. But yeah, in the end, disappointing. Tom Lawrence, good debut, good solid debut. I thought looks like like I say, he likes to come deep. He had a lovely run. I think it was in. I'm not sure. I think it was in the second half. Beat a couple of guys. The shot wasn't quite there, but no, I think that was one of the real positives to take out of it. Not exactly. I don't know what you think. Him and Pilkington, are they a bit a bit
Similar.
samey,
Well,
kind
you just
of.
said,
You know,
very
like,
similar.
you
you
said
get
Lawrence is not really a goal scorer like
No.
Mason,
Like
nor is
Pilkington,
Pilkington,
yeah.
and they're struggling to score
yes,
goals and create
so you don't have to be
chances.
Einstein to work out
John, well done,
why
mate.
it's happening. So why is it happening?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
So the answer to that is that won't be the partnership going forward. We don't
It might be. The answer, I think, is you just need like we've said before, you need a out and out striker, don't you? You need a goals man. You need someone who takes that responsibility of saying, you know, I'll get you 15, 20 goals every season. It's not happened. Mason moved on down the road.
Yeah.
And when you look at the squad, you think, well, they've got goals in their squad, but they've not got an out and out who you know is a goal getter in this division anyway.
Yeah.
You know what they perhaps need is someone who's either qualified in this division or is coming down from a league above.
So, I mean, don't most sides that tend to do something in the Championship usually?
You have two strikers
You
who
do.
score
You don't. You
30 goals
do.
between
You have
them.
like an established
Yeah,
pairing.
that's
So
your
and so
lump
and
sum,
so and so.
basically.
You have features done on them during the
Yeah.
season, don't you? Then
Yeah.
these guys have really
Yeah.
hit it off.
Yeah.
Cardiff have been, and they've never been anywhere near it. I mean, I still say, I said this in the piece I wrote, you do get the impression they still don't know their best side almost.
Well, a question here, which maybe is from Richard, who says, why was Lex Simmons on the bench after scoring the week before? A guy who's impressed in his first game, coming off the back of a goal, confidence at a new club.
And would you say he's an attacking midfielder
he's
as
in
well?
an unused...
Yeah,
So
well,
would
he
you
is,
fit
I
him
mean,
into
he's
that
probably
Pilkington
another-
kind of Tom Lawrence-y kind of
He is,
goal?
he's another one of
well, he
them.
played up
provider
there
rather than-
did at Huddersfield. Yeah, that's where he played.
As
so.
a 9 or a 10? Does he play deeper off a
I
striker?
think he plays deeper.
He
doesn't
plays
he?
deeper.
Yeah,
I thought
so.
he was attacking midfielder stroke number 10.
Yeah,
He's not a back to goal.
No,
number 9
no.
sort of thing.
He's like
Yeah,
that.
so again, you'd put him into that Lawrence, Pilkington type. I mean, Noon could play as a number 10. You know, there's another player. He's got the trickery. He's got the vision. You know,
wasn't
as you
injured, of course,
well, if you see in the goals against Wolves, one coming in off the flank, one in the middle, in sort of that number 10 role. Do you know what I mean? So it's.
So they've got the embarrassment of riches of ad hoc number 10s, but
They
they've
need
not
a
got a
number
proper striker.
Number 9, yeah.
Which
yeah.
is a problem.
Well, one man who does look like a proper striker and is a proper striker is Kenneth Zahor, another one who made his debut, albeit for a much shorter period, came on for that last sort of 10 minutes.
Yeah,
big young guy, isn't he? Big fella.
He's a big unit.
Didn't really see
Didn't
much.
you have to reserve judgment on it. What did he do? You know, I mean, he just had a bit of a run around, and I mean, I'm still unsure with
They
him.
started lumping it a bit long when he came on,
21
didn't they?
years old. Is he it? Is he? Are they going to throw him in there now at the end of the season, or is he one for the future in inverted commas? I mean, I never quite got to the bottom of that situation, but
That's mine.
Am I the only one who thinks to leave my phone at my desk? Am I the only professional in here? No, but I mean, well, thank you. But I think, yeah, it's too early to say anything about him. But I just think all season, really, that the side
just need
has
to get
suffered.
settled,
Yeah,
don't they? They just
well,
need to get
how many
settled.
times we sat here going, we need to get a settled side, go on a run, and all that. I mean, we say it every week, but we're into February now, and it's still not happening. And I wrote, and I think this is true. I mean, I see they're talking about Russell Slade going into the loan market now for a winger. I don't think he needs any more options. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's overblessed.
himself. Yeah.
I just think he's one
Just
of those
get him
guys.
number 9. That's what I would.
I
look
just
for.
think he's one of those guys, and I said this, little bit like Dave Jones for me, in that they play their best side when they're almost like forced to play their best side. Everyone's injured, and they're like, oh, hang on, I better
stumbled
stick
on
him in.
that.
And they're like,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
God, that
With
worked.
O'Keefe and stuff like that.
Chopra Bothroyd.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, I got that. I see that. I think it's happening too late for Slade, because I mean, Jones, fair play to him, could do it earlier in a season for whatever reasons. But I still think there's not enough, solidity, not enough continuity in the side going forward, and there hasn't been all season. I mean, the midfield's been ripped up about 3 times. I mean, the only real solid back thing has been the defence, really. The centre halves, all right, you've had Manga in for Morrison, but that's the way it goes. Even there, you could say he's still not sure. Peltier, Malone, Fabio, two of
they're
them,
all
which
fit.
one them
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there. It's still, there's a revolving door policy there. But I mean, the defence has been. I think in front of that, and particularly in attack, Cardiff have really suffered from just a real lack of continuity all the way through. people get. I mean, like a classic example of somebody, you know, I don't want Stewie O'Keefe again, but I was really impressed by him against MK Dons. I thought it was a really good game. He almost scored a couple of goals. It hadn't been for...
He's played well since he's back in the team.
He come in against Wolves, he hit the bar there. He's been solid. We haven't seen him for a year. And I'm not blaming anyone, because people can get lost in the system, don't you? And I mean, but
Those
there's a
qualities
guy, he gets in, hits the ground running, and now he's getting a run. He's bubbling with confidence, you know. I mean, I think the guy's got 1 goal in like 86 career goals. He could have doubled that on the weekend. He's getting, he's getting a real forward thinking to do. And I was really impressed by him. And I'm just saying, if there's him, there's combinations in that squad that have not been explored properly, that have not been analysed properly,
I think another...
and are not being. And the ultimate, the ultimate thing is the team itself. When you look at it, you're thinking, is this, like someone was saying there, Immers on the bench there, is this right? Could it be Immers Lawrence? Could it be Pilgrim?
Well, we'd say that through the beginning of the season when people like Ken would play and score and then be on the bench next game. Do you know what I mean? Or when Noon scored. Remember we had the conversation, Noon scored a world and
that's right at the start.
Get him in.
Get him in, give him a run.
And it never materialised.
It was only, he only got back in like a couple of months later when he had to go back in, and then he was okay again then.
And then he scored a couple of worldly goals and was like, wow, we were like, he's back. And now he's injured again.
You question, I mean, this is one from your bit.
It's all inconsistent.
The grand plan. You question the grand plan. You question the grand plan off the pitch with the club itself. Forget that. You question the grand plan within the squad and the people on the pitch. In training, who's saying, this guy's got to get a run, this guy's coming off, or, you know, whatever. And it's that inconsistency in selection and team moving forward that's costing them, and is going to cost them a playoff place if they're not very careful.
Is it they've lost once or twice at home this
season?
Well,
they've got the best home league record. Only Sheffield Wednesday have got a better record at home than Cardiff. They lost once to Hull, of course, and they've not lost now. I think it's like 11 championship games. You can tell the guy who wrote this the other day.
Knows his stuff.
Hey, I know my stuff.
A couple of comments. And Bob says, indeed, why can't Cardiff take their chances? If you listen to some people, it's all down to Russell Slade. The team was set up.
Nothing to do with
I think that's what he's saying. The team was set up okay. The second half should have seen us come away with a good win, but still Slade takes the flak, so he's going to defend.
Do you know what it reminded
Is he
me
getting
of?
flack?
Do you know what it reminded me of? Because like, obviously I listened to radio and then highlights. It reminded me of Valencia, Gary Neville at the moment. I've watched them. He's on a terrible run, but I've seen 5 of their games where Negredo, he's not missing them on purpose, but it's like, bro, how can you not score that? How has that not gone in again? It just seems to be, they seem to be, and I looked at Cardiff's result and I looked the opportunities and I just thought, you're just in this cycle where you don't seem to be able to, you think, right, great result, and then you think, nah, not so good. Then, oh, no, great result, Huddersfield, and then can we get over that mountain of MK Dons? Because I think part of it is psychological. I really do. I think part of it is psychological. Not to have 2 wins back to back, I don't think yet this season.
Well, once in September, they won 2 on the bounce.
It's got to be. It's got to be a psychological issue.
Slade said a weird thing though. He was questioned about that and said, "Hey, look, we've won back-to-back away games on the bounce now." It's like, well, that's not the point, is it? You've got to follow those up. You know, it's no use really particularly win, draw at home against people that really anyone who's doing anything in the division is beating, and anyone who's doing anything in the championship this year is beating Rotherham.
And that's what you've got to look at as well.
At home,
is the other people above you. I always say it's okay living in that bubble and thinking, right, you know, and if you're at the top or in the playoffs, you solely focus on yourselves and try not to, don't get me wrong, you have your scouts and all doing that, but as a team, try not to look and see what Middlesbrough done on the weekend, or, you know what I mean, because it fills your own head with what you shouldn't be seeing or reading, really. If they've been brilliant, you know, might go into the game a bit timid or what have you, but I don't know, mate. It's the consistency we've said time and time again.
Well, when you look at the strikers, when you look, the top scorer at the club is Mason on 6, and he's not there anymore. That tells you all you need to know. Any clubs that are going for it in here now, you look at the top scorers in division. You've got guys, you know, 10,
15,
11,
16,
12, you know,
yeah, 30.
even higher,
Yeah.
the guys that are really doing the business. And Cardiff have not gone anywhere near there. Okay, maybe, you know, they've had Nunes got a few and all, and Kenwyn when he was here.
Should have gone and tried and nick that Naki Wells. I've always liked
Oh,
him.
but I mean, we said from the start. I
A
mean,
goal
this is
scorer
the
like that.
frustration. Is that the first thing Slade said when he arrived here? I want my partnerships. Well, no offence, but he's completely failed to deliver on that. In his defence, for various
many
reasons, they've been
yeah,
sold and he's injured. But
Yeah.
you know, there's not been, apart from centre half, really. They've not really been close. I mean, they've got another central midfielder, Rolls and O'Keefe now there, which you know might be the one. But how long has it taken us to get there? It's just not really. There doesn't seem to be enough deep thought put
Just
into
off
it.
it, ain't we?
Yeah,
Just
you know,
off it all the time, and if they can,
no one's given a run.
Yeah.
No one. You know, you get a couple of games, you have a poor game, you're out. So and so's in, you're out. I don't think you can expect to have a top challenging side that is with such a revolving
And
door
maybe
policy.
that's what happens. In the end, that's what happens. You keep altering things, changing things, trying to get
chasing
that
your
result.
tail,
yeah,
aren't
you're
you?
dog
Yeah.
chasing your tail.
Yeah. You know, I mean, whereas if you, from those opening few couple of months of the season, that is the time to get things settled if you can.
The start
You
is the
can't
most
bar
important.
someone saying we want to buy this guy for 5 million, thank you, goodbye. I know you can't legislate for that,
Yeah.
but I think efforts could be made early in the season to find a balanced, settled side. They'd had a good pre-season. They can't even ignore. They can't say that. They'd had a brilliant pre-season. They were going into the thing, and I you know, it's like I said to you the other day. I'm watching it in February. I'm thinking, I wonder where the best side is in this squad,
I don't know it.
because I don't know it.
You've got to look at Sammy Amiobi's had a few game run now, and I mean, noticed in your ratings he was the lowest, got a 4
Well,
out of 10, and he was a
I
couple,
was
couple
really
of moments where he does things and you just think, wow, that's
Wow.
brilliant, and then
I just don't think there's enough from him. I said in his rating, I don't think you get those players who look. They look. I'm not saying they're lazy. They look lazy. They're laid back and they're
Like
like
I did.
explosive. Yeah, like you, man.
Yeah.
But someone like you, you earn that because you produce the business.
'Cause I used to love beating my
out.
fullback, yeah.
You, week in, week out. The players like that who bang, they turn on, suddenly they've been quiet, suddenly it's top corner. It's like who do it week after week after week. They can look as lazy. They can look like that. To me, Amiobi's not earned that. He's not producing enough to have that laid
I'd love
back
to work
attitude.
with him. I would. I'd love to get
you
in his
want more,
head.
you want more urgency from him and much more commitment.
Because it's
from him.
psychological. You know, I remember,
Perhaps.
you know, he needs a Eddie May to say.
He needs a rocket up his
rocket up his
posterior, as
backside,
they say, yeah.
and in training, right? Eddie'd say to me, just 1-on-1. I don't care. You got to beat him. And here's another ball. And here's another ball. And here's another. And it was just like repetitive. So it just became like habit. I get the ball, right, I got to beat my fullback. Get the ball, right, I got to beat my fullback. Right, I got to beat my fullback. Regardless, like, in them days, really, if he was in your final third, it was kind of different. But even there, he'd say, right, even in the final third, if you can and you can face him, beat him. You know what I mean? Beat him and get at him. And, you know, that's what's that. I think Amiobi, you've got the ability. I mean, we've had fitness, we've had asthma, we've had all the. Listen, the boys clearly passed the medical at the top level.
He's playing.
So it's nothing, you know,
fifth
it
biggest
might be
division in Europe.
it might be a
Regularly.
problem, but I would have supposed if it was, it's minor. Just get his confidence high. There's one or two other players. Just do what you're good at and keep doing it repetitively, until you're on your knees. And then I'll bring you off and I'll put another winger on, or I'll put another striker on. I think at the moment, as much as the results aren't coming, you're still yet to see 3 or 4 players hit the heights of what I think they're capable of on a consistent basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you can get that for the running, say you can get Amiobi on fire for the running, and say Pilkington on fire for the running. Okay, you've got Lawrence in at the moment. I think that's, as we discovered, that's part of the problem. We don't know who's going to be playing next. But if you get, say, 3, playing at their highest, and then you've got the likes of Rowles and Whittingham all playing at like 7, 8 out of 10 every week, mate, it'd make your life so much easier.
Well, they've never achieved that. I think Rolls has gone a little bit off as well.
You think?
Recently, I think so.
He's a good footballer,
It's
isn't he?
difficult for young. I always say it's difficult for young lads.
Yeah, I think it's because he's young.
To play for a season, right? People often say, "Oh yeah, he's good enough." It is, but if you look at statistics, you'll see how many young lads make their debut, play 30 games, never to be seen again, play 50 games over 2 seasons, never to be seen. There's thousands of them. It's because it's so difficult to maintain that. When you've set a standard, people expect more. So next season you'll expect more and more, and then eventually, someone like Raul should be looking Premier League with Cardiff City or Man United or whatever. You set your standards, but it's difficult for young lads. It is, especially going through the Christmas period. I think that's overlooked a lot. And then now the pitches are heavier, even though they're not like they were in my day and before. They're still heavy, windy conditions. And it's that people like Raul, who's quite a slight player, you've got to get it into their legs that you almost know come December, January, February, it is a dog. You've got to have that physical strength in depth, basically, the call upon for these months. It's the most difficult. And then you're battered and bruised, but come March, April, May, pitches firm up, and you're just getting over the line, sort of thing.
I think he's had a fab season.
Emptying. He has had a good season,
but I think he's just dipped.
He's allowed to have a dip.
He's allowed to have a dip. Yeah, no, I mean that's as good as an explanation as I've heard of that. It really is for a young guy like that.
But you'll see him. What I hope they don't do is like take him out of the team or anything. But if they did take him out of the team, genuinely tell him, don't mess with his confidence. Tell him it's just for recovery.
So rest and recovery.
So recovery, lighten down his training a bit for the week. Let him just entertain again the five-a-side and enjoy blah 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 blah. And miss Tuesday's game, but Saturday you're back in the team. We go again. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, let me reel off a few comments. We've got quite a few, so I'll reel a few off. Alex here says City played well enough, but the finishing was poor, not helped by a saturated playing surface. More strange decisions from Slade, though. Hopefully he will leave once the season is over. Paul from Grangetown says, I still don't think we have what it takes to go on a good enough run to get us in the playoffs. We're still too inconsistent, and that's been the norm under Mr. Slade. Roy says, I think it's always a bit hard first game for new players to bed in. They need time on the training ground.
Good shout, Roy.
To get used to the way their teammates are playing. Steve says it's down to Slade, he's not good enough. I got told by somebody that Vincent Tan is flying over this week to give him a new contract. If that's the case, I won't be renewing, he says.
I wouldn't be surprised at that. I've said it all along. I think he might be here next season. I know you don't think so, but I think he will. I think Slade will be here next season.
I would say there's plenty of people in the club who don't want that to be the case because they don't think he's doing a good enough job. But the big invariable, the thing you can think is Mr. Tan. You have no, I'll be honest, I have no access to him to sort of say, Vincent, are you going to? I have no. So
why would you change your voice like that?
I'm talking to a billionaire. I want to sound kind of professional and good.
Vincent,
my friend, my old friend.
Like you switched to a bit of French.
So he is obviously, as we've known from the past, a law unto himself. So I mean, I couldn't possibly rule that out that he's flying in to offer him a new contract. As the chap just said there, I don't think it would be very popular. But then when again, is Vincent Tan done anything he's worried about people looking popular? Obviously not. So I think, what I think? I think there's no, people are not against Slade per se. I think, and I've got this feeling. Do you ever get this feeling? I keep thinking, and you often get this like, I wonder what someone else could do with these guys. Do you know what I mean? We've talked about everything we talked about today about no plan, no consistency, no. In your idle moments, you get a really experienced at Premier League, deeply experienced at Championship.
I believe they get promoted. That's my honest belief.
Yeah, exactly. You just can't help thinking.
I believe
someone would get more out of this.
I believe with the right man, and like I always say, I don't call for anyone's head, but I believe with the right man, I believe over the past probably 2 years, which would take Russell Slade out the equation in some sense. I think the players that we've had at our disposal, I think there's a lot of managers out there who would have got him back up.
You get a Pardew
really-
in there
I really
or
do.
something, or you know,
Yeah.
or even, you know.
And that just goes to show, you know, and that's not, it goes from the players to the manager to the chief exec to the chairman to the owner. That's what I say, how that's all got to be in unison. Yeah, they all got to know what the plan is, where the plan's going, you know, and it should be largely directed from the top down. And by the time it gets to your manager, you implement someone who fits in with the kind of football you want to see, the philosophy you've got in place at
You
your
just
club.
feel a wily campaigner would look at this group and be like, right,
Sam Allardyce would get
would love it.
This
You know,
season
they
with that squad.
Can you imagine? They would relish it. You'd look at it and think, great, I can do something with this. And you just cannot shake off the feeling when you look at Slade. Nah, not quite. Great guy, got virtues, but just for, you know, because the table's not lying, they're falling short. And I tell you what, if they finish 10th and Slade's offered a new 2-year deal, I tell you what, you can see season tickets flying out of there this summer, mate. Not in the slightest. That's not attacking anyone personally. I'm just saying it's not going to be capturing the imagination of anybody.
Do you know what I'd like to
put it
see?
that way.
If he did keep Slade on, I'd like to see his team. Because that's one thing I think people have overlooked since he's been here. He's never had the opportunity to bring in his own coaching staff. Do you understand what I mean? Everything
Well,
else.
they've got Trollope in, didn't
Well, yeah, did he? Or was Trollope brought in? I thought.
they? Well, I was somebody.
I don't think they
he
worked
joined
together
his
before.
staff while. Well, he's joined the staff while Slade.
Slade would
Surely
change
must have
Do you understand me?
okayed
But that
it
was
or
the biggest.
agreed with
That
it.
was the biggest thing when you don't know if he's got any say in it.
Well,
this is
right,
the
okay.
problem. Do you know what I mean? So it's unusual then for a manager to work with people he hasn't worked with before. Usually, most managers, you know now, you look at someone like Sparky. He takes his team wherever he goes because they tried, trusted, tested, what have you. So if he does stay, you'd hope that because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, the decision making and what have you. I'd rather say, right, go on then, have control of it. Have control of your backroom staff. Have control of your playing staff. Have control of who we sign, and then you can be judged on the entirety of what you do.
Well,
At the moment,
live or die by it.
Or-
yourself.
He wanted Nugent, didn't he, to come with him from Leyton Orient?
There you go.
There was a suggestion that the Cardiff hierarchy didn't want that. I think Nugent was involved in maybe having the Orient job as well.
Yeah,
and
it
didn't
was
happen,
going to
so
carry on there.
Trollope came in sometime after.
Well, okay, fine, but you think the fans are not going to be forgiving? Oh,
No, they ain't gonna be
I feel
happy.
sorry for him. He hasn't got his back room.
No,
you know,
no,
sitting around in a bar somewhere. That's not going to be
it's just a
springing
point.
to
It's just
everyone's lips, is it?
a situation I look at and think, it's another. Well, put it this way: how many managers out there would come in under them circumstances?
Well, that's the
being
problem you've
told
got,
you
isn't it?
can't
These
bring
guys
in
like
nobody
Pulis,
with you.
these guys like Pardew, this guy,
Well,
these
they all
guys.
do.
remember,
They're all managers. Even if you're
I mean,
looking
the
at
level
someone
of the level of interference from the top allegedly is so great that Allardyce or they wouldn't even countenance it. I'm not coming in there to be made to look like an idiot when I'm not even pulling the strings. So that's the way it is. But all I can say about it is a Slade 2 more year term moving forward.
it isn't going to excite.
It's not going to be. They're not going to be swinging from the rafters in there, unless. And here we go. It's almost like throwing the Bootroom forward 6 months, unless he gets off to an amazing start.
Which
Potentially.
is the all important.
There's a question on here. It was one of the early ones. At the end of the season, and let's say Slade does go. Here we go, Ash. Blakey, with Russell looking like he ain't going to be there at the end of the season, who would you personally like to take charge of the club? He says, could Bellamy and Trollope work together, as an example? But I mean, we mentioned names there, Allardyce, and we pretty much said they're not really.
These are like fantasies.
Realistically, I would say, I think Tim Sherwood would be very good.
Is that feasible in terms of?
in terms of you ask me for
We don't
names.
know what's feasible, do we? I mean, we don't know exactly
that's what I'm saying.
feasible.
You ask me for names.
Put it this way. I mean,
I'm
I know
just
it's
saying in normal circumstances. I can only give them to you in normal circumstances, can't I? I can't say to you, well, I look at, you're asking me for names.
Pep Guardiola.
I'm thinking people who will not only coach and work well at the first team level, but also bring in your 21s. Because I think we are, at the moment, in signing the likes of Tom Lawrence and what have you, 21-year-old boys. If you're a 21-year-old kid in Cardiff and 21s, you're absolutely distraught, like, you know what I mean? Because opportunity is not coming. But they're signing Kennedy, he's another young lad who come in that, you know, I feel sorry for him as well. You know, so...
Zahor, of course.
Yeah, he's 21. So, you know what I mean? You don't think... So I'd say someone like Tim Sherwood, I think Eddie Newton, I've said him before. I think he's got an affiliation with the club as well. Champions League winner. I thought Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank might have been a good someone coming up with great potential, but he's proven at the moment how difficult it is. Do you know what I mean? How difficult it is. It's.
Dylan says, why not Nigel Pearson?
Nigel Pearson. Hey, listen. I think
that would be interesting.
I think.
I think some exciting press conference. I don't want any exciting
what he achieved at the back end of that season was like 9 out of 11 wins was quite incredible. Whether or not that could, because that's the problem. You score 30 goals for this club. You expected to score 30 goals for that club. So expectation would be, I believe, greater than what he could probably handle. But I'm not saying he wouldn't be a bad signer. I think he would. What he'd give is, he would solidify a lot of stuff then. You know what I mean? And I don't think the problem is, John, I don't think as many managers, when I start to think about their personalities, I don't think there's a lot of them who would come in under the circumstances
that's the big thing.
they are right now.
I mean, no offence, that's what Slade is seen a little bit as, like, you know, I mean, he's a yes man, isn't he, in a way? He, apparently on low wages compared to what these guys can command and willing to be told we're doing this.
I think he'd be good as well. You got to mention Ian Holloway. I think he'd be good.
What about Neil Warnock? The old campaigner of Final Last Stand. He's always said, I've always interviewed him, he's always said, always felt I was destined to manage down Cardiff. I love the fans down there and all that. He could get you up. He's a bit, you know. But then again, he's the last guy you need to be a yes man, or you're not going to listen to anybody. Is he going to do his own thing? But then again, that thing persists. Could someone else do, you know, if you're doing a job in any line of work and everyone's looking at you thinking, I bet there's someone there who could do that much better than you. You're in a fragile position, whatever you're doing.
Just, picking up on Friday's press conference to do with this issue, obviously you were asking Russell about his contract.
Yeah,
and he says it's not an issue. Obviously, it is ridiculous for somebody to be out of contract in June and for it to not be discussed. But you asked him the question, would you even want to stay?
Yeah.
What did you glean from his response? Do you think he'll go? No, but do you think he wants to go? Do you think that privately he just thinks, actually, I've had enough of this and I'm just going to go in the summer no matter what?
I don't think he would be devastated if they came and said, sorry, we're not renewing your contract. I don't think... I think there must be a part of him that obviously feels he's got unfinished business, and you know, and I'm sure if Tan was to turn up on Friday or whatever and say here's a new deal, I think he'd sign it.
I think he would, yeah.
He would sign it, but I don't think. Conversely to that, I don't think if they would turn around and say sorry, thanks, but thanks for your efforts, but I don't think he'd be devastated. Because I tell you what, for a start, you know, however much people in Cardiff are looking at him going, he's useless, he hasn't done this, there's people. Maybe not championship level even, but there's other clubs outside going, well, he's cut £12 million from the wage bill. All right, it's not the most attractive football, but they're 5 points off the playoffs in the championship. You know, we could do with a bit of that down here. You know, I don't think there'd be any shortage of takers for him either, which I'm sure is another thing that would be factored in. If he were to be shown the door, I should be thinking, well, you know, whatever. So, but I just, he was very cagey talking about it, obviously.
He shouldn't have to be,
He
though,
did
should
say
he?
an interesting thing, though, in retrospect. Now, this talk you say of Tan coming, but he said, he did turn around and say, what's to say Vincent Tan might not fly over for the next few weeks and we'll talk to it face to face. He said it as a throwaway thing, as if a hypothetical thing, but perhaps he was sort of signalling this is what's going to happen.
Well,
He didn't give
we'll
any...
check it out this afternoon.
We'll have a look at it, yeah, of course. We're a newspaper, aren't we? Or whatever we are. So somebody call in with the answers, please. But funnier things have happened, but I don't think the natives would be too impressed.
It might be that they keep silent on it because they think it would have a negative effect because of public opinion at the moment. You just don't know. It's strange though, isn't it, to be in, February, 5 points off the playoffs. If you're looking at the positive side, I'm 5 points off the playoffs. Like you said, I've cut 12 million out of the wage bill. Okay, they haven't got the partnership sorted out yet, but if it clicks, they could easily find themselves in the playoffs if it clicks, if they can get that consistency. But to then think, well, I'm not even being... I find it hard to believe there's no conversation going on.
Well, no, I don't think that. I think that...
It's got to be.
There is sure to be a conversation, whatever, despite what they say on the record.
If Russell Slade and his agent wouldn't be doing their job if they weren't asked.
No. Well, but then if you're talking about, Vincent Tan and Russell Slade, speaking about new contracts, it's the pressure was put on basically 3 or 4 games ago by the chairman saying, whether or not he's going to be here next year and things aren't good enough and blah 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 blah. So it's again, it's that mixed message. It's that inconsistency of the message, what you want your fans to think, what the players think, what the manager thinks. I think people are looking like Man City, to use a parallel, and saying now the press they'll jump all over the fact that Pep Guardiola's coming whilst Pellegrini's still in charge. I mean, regardless of how you try and say, look, we spoke to the manager and he knew or all that. Regardless, who would want to work in that environment? Well, I don't care, no matter how much the players respected me, loved me, thought I was their Santa Claus. It doesn't matter. Knowing that next year is going to be a totally different man will have a psychological effect that you can't control.
Undermined, isn't it?
Exactly.
Indeed.
So it'd be stupid for Cardiff now to come out and say, well, we got someone else lined up. If that was the case, they couldn't do that. It's just wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of those big clubs like Man City have to do that because they're shareholders, isn't it? Really, that's what.
But that was the first time. If you think that's never, can you name another time that's ever happened at like a top 6 club in the Premier League? I don't ever remember.
It has happened.
That. I've heard, well, no, you've heard rumours, but you haven't heard the club come out and state factual.
Well, I think maybe
this
there's such a
person is
clamour
coming.
for his Guardiola's services from various.
He was always
Guardiola's a special case, isn't he? I mean,
He was
he's not
always
the best manager in the
City.
world.
He
or
was,
whatever,
sadly not Cardiff, but he was.
No, I don't think he's coming to Cardiff.
You never know.
I'd be sitting on the boot room slagging off Guardiola. He just hasn't got it right.
Interesting,
What's he doing?
That would be interesting. Pep Guardiola, £1 million contract, whatever, not that 10 million a year. Going, right, those are your players, what can you do with it? Show me.
If he's a real man, he'd come down here.
I saw that. Somebody said that on Twitter. They said, well, you're taking over at Manchester, multi-billionaire Manchester City. Why don't you start at Torquay?
Yeah.
And see how you get on there.
Yeah.
Now, that would be a test of your management credentials.
Cardiff, we want a city, so Cardiff City.
Absolutely.
Lovely city.
Yeah.
To hang out
Be
to.
like the Barcelona, come Real Madrid, the Basques, you know what I mean?
Anyway, it's not reminding
the Welsh v the English.
Hey, when
sort
my
of thing,
glasses
you know what
were flying off my head earlier, I wasn't thinking Barcelona. I tell you, I was thinking, God, this is a nightmare.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, the big off-the-field issue, which we haven't talked about, which is undoubtedly good news, is the
At last,
the ending of a saga. Whatever it is, 12, 13 years saga.
Longer than the Beowulf saga.
The Langston debt is settled.
it's done.
I don't know if it's been, well, is it? I'm not sure if it's actually been paid.
Agreement's been reached, yeah.
Yes, good. It's got to be good news. Yep, the final payment's being made to Langston or whatever you want to call them now, or with whoever's behind them. But
I just shake my head, and every time I think about it, I think the level of investment Vincent Tan's put into the club, I've said it before, he should be an absolute hero, shouldn't he? To be fair, think about it, he should be an absolute hero.
Well, he shot himself in the foot.
He has killed himself. I've said it before. He's killed himself on mad decision making and what have you. But to have that'll be like, but 200 mil. He's put into the club.
Well, a little bit less than that, I think, because
180.
He's written some off. He's written about 20 mil off.
Okay, 180.
He's yeah.
It's still a lot of dough.
Yeah,
Isn't
well,
it?
he's still owed a lot of money, isn't he? So it's,
Oh, a hell of a lot. Yeah.
Personally,
but yeah, it was good to.
there's been so much waste.
I wonder if
as well.
the thing of removing Langston from the equation is leading to something this summer. To an attempt to sell it, or even to maybe turn debt to equity or something. I'm financially.
Contacts.
Oh, my contacts. I love
James.
my contacts. I love my. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just pure sort of hypothetical, really. But no, it's good to see that come to an end because it's been an ongoing and a weird thing, you know. People saying we don't know who we're paying the money to when you've already paid 17 million anyway. People going, well, it didn't bother you before. Why does it bother you now? It'd be just be nice to draw a line under that. The main creditor, the long-standing creditors are gone.
Yeah.
Does it make the club more attractive? You'd have to say so to somebody from the outside. I mean, I suppose the debts owed to TAN don't make it look that attractive, but if there's a way around that. But no, it was good to see that finally settled. And you know what Cardiff's like. It's always been. It's like you've got the matters on the pitch, and you've got an absolute circus of excitement and intrigue and that off the pitch. And I mean, this was just the latest chapter in that, and hopefully one that's now over and finished.
Indeed. So,
Do you think we'll see Sam Aman back at the club?
He's life president.
Would he still be life president after?
Yes,
but not on the, but never have a position.
Well, I was told, but can't, because he had a representative on the board, didn't he? Who's gone, and he's not going to be allowed to be on the board or to appoint anyone to the board. I mean, the life presidency thing, you're told, is an honorific type. It means he gets in for nout. You know what I mean, or whatever, or got his name in there, like me. Got about the same kind of things as we have. But that's said. So I mean, hopefully that is a line drawn under it and everybody's amicable and people can move on, because the club sure does need to move on.
It was a long saga. It was a very long saga.
Indeed. We move on to Charlton this weekend.
Ding dong game in it again.
Which comes against big games then against Brighton and Middlesbrough.
Brighton have kicked on again. I watched them weekend. They looked back to their best on the year, and they made a few good signings as well. So Charlton for me sat bottom of the league, I think, at the moment.
Bolton are bottom, aren't they?
No.
They're not anymore, are they?
No.
They fought their way up, have they?
I think they're off the bottom. I think Charlton are now rock bottom.
Oh, because they won on the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Charlton are rock bottom. So I know it's a banana skin for us again, isn't it? It's one of them games that you
even with our scintillating away form.
Yeah, that's. You think to yourself, well, you beat Huddersfield and Wolves. I'd feel confident about going away, but because they bottom of the league, it's like if anyone's going to lose them, I bet it'd be us. Do you know what I mean? The way our season's going,
just the way it goes,
and the way our inconsistency is at the moment, of all the teams, it'd be trusted to be us.
Is it must win? Yes, probably.
Everything's must win.
We're going to get to the point where it's going to be must win soon. I don't think
at the moment it's must win because the points gap, right? I think it's must win psychological. It's must win 2, 3, 4. That's what. So it's got to start with.
I'm just sick of hearing that thing.
What can we do?
3 wins.
What
they need right now is 3 or 4 good wins on the bounce. I know. Don't stop talking about it though. We don't need to say. Let's not. Don't we? We all know that's what they need to do. Let's just stop it.
Wish it in.
Well, it hasn't worked all season. This mythical 3 or 4 wins on the bounce. But everybody out there knows that. Let's not waste our time by discussing the 3 or 4 wins on the bounce.
It's a critical game for me, yes.
Yes, it's a big game, isn't it?
It is. Because if you lose it, it's just, everyone goes, typical.
They lose it, and then they finish the day 8 points off the playoffs.
Yeah, into games against Brighton and Borough.
And you're looking at it, and you're like,
they'll win
nah.
then.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They're going to beat
well,
Brighton and beat Borough.
Again, that would be typical. We can't go to Borough and beat them, but
That'd be the first
It's a
back-to-back
must-win.
wins of the season.
it's a must-win of a series where they need to go on a run of 3 or 4 games in which they win.
Oh, we should stop saying that. I can't take it no more.
Stop talking about the run of win, the mythical run of wins. It's not going to happen, is it?
Never.
It will, sooner or later.
You reckon?
There's an old saying, a donkey has to win.
Like the law of averages
you get
dictates
that-
they
that-
must win 3 or 4
You
games.
go to the bookies and one horse is 100 to 1, and sooner or later it's got to win. Whether it's fixed or whatever. But
Yeah, but you've got to go like 100 times to the bookies in
sooner or
order
later
for
the
it to
donkey has
happen.
to win.
Yeah.
Not that we're donkeys, but
I haven't
sooner or
got-
later that mythical 2 in a row will come our way.
Well, they got 2 in a row.
Yeah.
That would be quite nice.
And then you might get 3 and then 4.
Hey, you're secretly trying to talk about it by just mentioning it casually like that.
Bring
Don't
it in
talk
the
about
mind,
it.
power
Do
of
we
the
think,
mind.
just team news-wise, do we think someone like Craig Noon might be
I think Noon's injured, isn't he?
back in the
They're
equation?
talking,
Oh, he's asking me to be
no, they're
fit.
talking about a cracked. I mean, I saw something where they said he might
Serious,
get
is
like a
it?
hairline
Fracture.
crack in a rib or something. He got booted in the chest, so
Okay.
that's possibly not.
Okay.
We don't know of any other major injury doubts.
It's funny though, isn't it? We never struggle with, like, you look at the team, we can always put out a very strong team. Even when we had
I was about to say that,
injuries
the
and
cover
what have
is
you.
there.
That's what I say. So you've got to, you know, I know some fans think we won't get there with that squad, but as squads go, it's still pretty strong.
bad, right?
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Sorry to bring up Stewie O'Keefe again, but throughout the last year, everybody, including
This is what
myself,
he does. He goes from player to player. He's like, a couple of weeks ago it was Rowles.
He said-
a couple of weeks before that was Phil
I
watched
Ginton.
it,
A couple of weeks before that it was
There's a
like,
reason
he
for it.
loves it.
He interviewed him on the weekend and he was
that's what
really
it
nice
is.
to him.
hey,
that why it's Stewie, you know?
he knew my name. One more, can I'm that easily, I'm that
Stewie.
pathetic a figure that I'm won over by someone going, oh, hi Steve, how are you? I'm like, my God, Stuart O'Keefe knows who I am. This is the greatest moment of
up
my
on the
life.
wall.
No, all I ripped down the Blakey in his Speedos poster. Wonder when I go, up goes a Stuart O'Keefe. Stewie O'Keefe. The point I'm making about it was a serious point in the sense of you're talking about the squad like that. For a year, Stuart O'Keefe was like, well, I wouldn't put him on the bench. I mean, stick him on the bench.
but he had
Then suddenly he's
Premier
in the
League
first.
experience.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
clearly a-
Then suddenly he's in the first team now. 4 games on the bounce, saying, this guy looks great. So there's depth there. There is depth there because you've got guys who could barely get on the bench now, running the midfield and looking good on it. I'm not saying it's going to last, but I can only see a guy like that growing in confidence as he's handed the shirt all the time. So there is cover
When you look
there.
at the Zahor, Makeda, Moore, Peltier, Dickachoy, Gunnarsson, Immers, that's a strong bench, you have to say.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
We're almost going in a circle now because then you get to the point, I wonder who could get the best out of which guy would get the best out
Full
of that
circle.
of that thing. Who would get them onto a 4 or
Well,
5
let's
game
finish with,
winning streak? Who could do it?
Finish with predictions then.
Oh, crikey,
For Charlton,
man. I'll go
Athletic?
Charlton. I'll go for 2-1 Cardiff win because they're good on the road.
O'Keefe hat. I'm going to go 3-1 O'Keefe hat.
I was going to say
Stewie O'Keefe hat.
2-1.
Go on, Stewie.
O'Keefe to score them all, even into his own net. No. He's due a goal. He one in 68 or whatever.
Yeah,
Surely
yeah.
due a goal. He scored one.
I'd
I'm intrigued to see his
say-
celebration, whether he has one planned for the goal.
I'm
It
gonna-
will come.
I'm going to go Cardiff 3-1 because I think away from home they've done well last couple of games and they've done really well. So and Charlton, let's be fair, their confidence is going to be.
Could be pretty low.
By the way,
pretty
talking
well.
of Stuart O'Keefe, don't miss our
Stewie
Stuart O'Keefe interview
Oh, okay.
on Wales Online this afternoon. See? There you go. Excitement.
There we go.
Something for you to look forward. We've been bigging him up all the way. Now you can read the thoughts of the man himself. Only on Wales Online.
Why don't you give him a 10 there?
I should have given him a 10. No, he wasn't that good, but here's 7. That was good. That was good. Good header.
Indeed. Right, okay, there we go. We'll leave it there, I think, Chance.
Oh, no, we were going to finish with your opinion of the game Saturday, weren't we? Because you went. What did you think of the game,
what's
John?
happened, viewers, is
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Doley
whoa,
was
whoa.
tempted. Was it? Where were you? Up in the posh seats? Was it with a bar and?
No.
Oh, not like us
What did you
plebs.
think- what did you think?
He sits down here going, there's no fans there. And he's up in hospitality. No. Like I'm on the 5th floor, like, just looking down on everyone with disdain. Oh, my goodness.
No atmosphere in that glass box. Like
As the waitress brought in the next tray of drinks.
A
Yeah.
pro sandwich.
So what did you think about the game?
I thought it was pretty average, really.
That was a load of rubbish.
The first half
Had a good
was
sup,
rubbish,
though.
but second half though was all right.
It was.
Yeah.
First half was awful, you think about it.
Yeah.
Apart from like the last 5 minutes, didn't they? Suddenly he had a couple of chances.
Yeah.
I think going out in those conditions, though,
It was
does
about
take
one
half
area of
hour
the
to
pitch
get
it
it
was
going.
getting really bad, wasn't it?
Started to all
Stuff, wasn't it?
splash up,
Yeah.
didn't it? Every time you
Slip
went in
sliding
for
and
a
all that.
tackle, it was kind of dangerous. Thank God for the sponger. I wonder how much they cost. Those. Get one of them for your farm. Those
Indeed.
sponges.
Runs away, mate. Runs away down
Runs
the
away.
canal.
Runs way down to that. The peasants
Down to
below.
my own, onto the hovels at the bottom of the hill, in which the workers, Squire Blakey,
I work. Me and my old mate Mal, we do all the work.
There we go. Happy days. Right, thank you, chaps.
Brilliant.
Thanks for all your comments and your questions. We will be live, of course, as always, next weekend for the Charlton game, and we'll be back next Monday, same time, same place. See you then.